The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. It is the Thanksgiving version of CPS WEBtips. So thank you for joining. Today we've got an awesome topic that Elisa Vadla is going to present. And I know that since version 11 was released, Elisa spent a lot of time sort of working through this process. So I'm hoping everybody will really get great value of this tip and trick. So Elisa, I will go ahead and turn it over to you.
Okay, Beth, thank you. So we'll wait a few more minutes and let everybody maybe join before we get started here.
Yep. Okay, the numbers are coming up, Elisa. We've got 79 registered for today. Let's see what kind of attendance we can get in real time. With the advent of YouTube, I think a lot of people go and sometimes watch, so you're going to be famous on YouTube.
Oh, lovely. Well, should we go ahead and start?
Go.
Okay, so let's get started. So we are here today to talk about WEBtips.
Da da da. Great.
And we are going to first do some introductions and logistics. And like Beth said, we do have all the lines muted. Feel free to go ahead. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can type those in your chat window. And Beth will be checking that out during the presentation and interrupting me, I'm sure, because you're all going to have lots of questions, right? And we'll answer those questions as best we can during the presentation or afterwards. We won't be doing any polls today because Beth and I don't know how to do that. Well, maybe we could figure it out, but we decided not to do any. So you won't be asked any questions. So my name is Elisa Vadla, and I have been with CPS for 2 years, almost 2 years now, and been working with the WINSHUTTLE products for about 8 years. I came from industry. I worked for McKesson, and I actually what I'm showing you today was a very big project similar to what we did in a very big project at McKesson for cash application. So let's talk about what the topic is today. Today we're going to talk about AutoPost and using AutoPost inside of a composer workflow. And so the purpose of this is really sometimes we come across our business cases, use cases, that a form is not the right vehicle for our data. Maybe our data is very large, or it's unpredictable. Maybe we've got a lot of data sometimes, a little data other times. And so putting it in a form and having a person enter it in a form is just not the right vehicle for us. So we can, enhanced in this version and in prior versions, we were able to do this, but enhanced in Composer 11 and WINSHUTTLE Platform 11, we can use what we call an AutoPost. And I'm going to be doing that today with a composer workflow. This is rather complicated, so I've kind of tried to break it up into steps to make it as easy as possible. And some of these demos, or some of the actual building of this process, I have recorded so we can get through it quickly. And then we'll try to do a live demo because that's always exciting to see it actually work in action. So again, let's talk about what the purpose is to allow Excel spreadsheets of data to be routed through a workflow and posted to SAP automatically. And this is what I think Justin calls the SAP magic. So step one, we're going to go through, like I said, 3 steps. I'm going to first walk you through how to create and publish a workflow to capture and process the data, that's that Excel spreadsheet, for approval. So this is very similar to your regular composer. You're going to build a form that's going to capture that data, that spreadsheet, and send it through for approval. The second step we're going to do is create and publish a workflow that will actually process that spreadsheet through SAP. So there's going to be a second workflow that we're going to create. We're also going to have to create a data file library manually in Foundation, so you'll see me do that. And then lastly, we have to actually submit a script, transaction script to allow the auto post using the custom workflow that we built. So these are the 3 steps we're going to walk through today. And then once I've showed you those, then we'll actually demo the process. So let's get started. So our first step is, as I said, is actually that creating your workflow. And I'm going to expand my page here. I'm not going to go through all this in detail, but we're going to actually look at a form and workflow that I've designed. It happens to be called the Journal Entry Auto Post Workflow. And we're going to take a look at the forms that I created. I have 3 views here, a view 1, a team view, and a approval view. And you can see I've got data capturing the requester name, a place to capture the attachment, some user controls where I'm capturing who's actually interacting with the form. On the team view, I've got a participant resolver to actually capture who's actually wanting it to be assigned to them. And then I've got an approval view, which is allowing us to take a look at that spreadsheet, give it approval, possibly reject it, close without saving. So I've got 3 views going on here that we're going to use throughout this process. And next, we've got a couple extra fields we've created. We'll use those in the process. One's called Auto Post Status. One's also a form name. And these are actual fields that kind of help the magic occur. So let's take a quick look at the journal, the actual workflow. The journal entry workflow, we have a start node. We've got a journal entry team assignment swim lane with a node in there that's doing our team assignment. And then we have the journal entry node, which allows us to do a reject or a rejection and also approval path. And then we also have what we call a copy attachment to AutoPost. And so this is where we're actually taking that Excel spreadsheet, pulling it off of the form, and attaching it to, dropping it into our data library. And our data library is going to be on our foundation site, and it's called AutoPost Data Files. And so that's where we're going to drop that file. We're also going to drop it with a form name, and this is our trigger piece that allows us to connect the 2 workflows up by knowing what number each action is. We can then talk back and forth between our different transactions. We also have a wait node in here. And our wait node is just saying, hey, I need you to wait for this workflow to finish up until the auto post status is not blank. So as soon as SAP posts, he'll say, okay, I've posted this, and it'll come back and update our field. And that'll drop us out of our wait node and come back into allowing us to see if it was processed successfully or if it possibly failed. So we also have workflow in here to handle that. So we have a decision node saying, hey, did we get errors or did we complete successfully? So this allows us to route it back to the human if we happen to have errors on that form, so that they can handle that manually. I'm pointing out here we have a seed. This is what we're using for our form name, and it's just going to be a unique number to every form we create, and it's going to be used, it's going to be passed through the other workflows, and we'll use this to actually do our querying back and forth between these different workflows so that we know which document we're dealing with. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and save this, and then we're going to go ahead and deploy it. And once it's deployed, then we'll move on to the next step. Okay. And we should quit out of this. And now we're going to move on to step 2. So let's look at that. So what we did was we created and published a workflow that's going to capture and process our data for approval. So that's where we did all of our approval steps. And we actually grabbed a spreadsheet and we dropped it into a library. The next piece we're about to do is to actually create that home for the library. We're going to manually create a data file library in Foundation, and then we're going to create one more workflow that's going to manage anytime something gets dropped into that library, it's going to kick off a workflow that's going to auto post that data. Okay, so let's go into step 2. Again, I have a pre-recorded presentation here. We've actually gone to the foundation site. It happens to be the Clear Process Solution Foundation site, Foundation 11. We're going to actually create a new library to house this workflow or these data files in. We're going to call it AutoPost data files or something like that. And I think I called this data file 1 because I already had a data file in there, but I'm having trouble typing in my video here. Come on, speed it up. There we go. And we're going to say this is a transaction type, so it's going to hold transaction files, and the type of files is a data file. Okay, so it's a data file for transaction. We're going to hit OK. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to scroll down and make a little bit of changes to this. We're going to go down to the actual library, and in the library we're going to go into the settings. So we're going to go over to the library settings, and there's a couple of things we need to do. By default, eShuttle base is the default content type, and we need to switch this to data file documents because that's what we're uploading. So we're going to change that to 1 and make it our default content type. And you'll see now that all the first items are all data file documents, and that's what we want. Okay. We also need to add one additional column, which is called form name. And remember, that's that trigger key that we're using. That's that seed number that we're going to be tracking back and forth. Which document are we working with? So you'll see we've now added a field called form name. All the other fields came in when we created this library. So they come in naturally, automatically. It knows that I'm going to need these kind of fields. So once we have that library created, now we can go over and start our workflow. So we're going to go back to Composer. We're going to create another workflow called AutoPost Workflow. And in this workflow, we're going to just design a very simple workflow that's going to say, hey, if a document drops into this library, we're going to auto-post it. And so you can see over here in the properties, I'm showing you I'm actually posting this or publishing this to the foundation site. And it's called AutoPost Workflow. And I'm attaching it to my library that I just created there called AutoPost Data Files. And that's the trigger that attaches these two together, okay? So we've got a workflow called AutoPost Workflow, and then we have a library file called AutoPost Data Files. And so here what we're doing is we're putting in our plugins. One is an AutoPost plugin that we're using for to actual post this, and it has some parameters on it, but we're not going to use any of them. We're going to just leave them blank. Validate, no. All the other items we're leaving to blank. The important part on this one is you want the synchronous to be false. You want the workflow to wait until it has posted. Once it's posted, then we need to set a Sharepoint column, and that is the trigger. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we've finished posting this. So we're going to go to my library, to my list, which is the journal entry AutoPost workflow. And we're going to say for the form name equals form name. So if our form name is number 1, I want you to go out there and look for form name number 1. And I want you to update this column status with whatever's in my AutoPost status. So this is, again, going and taking data from one list and putting it in another list so that the other list knows that I'm completed. Okay, so we are also promoting 2 fields. The Sharepoint, we're promoting the form name and also the status to Sharepoint. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm promoting them to Sharepoint so that we'll actually see them up into Sharepoint. That was quick. Now we're going to save and deploy. And we'll kind of go through this a little slower when we're actually demoing this. Okay, so now it's deploying the last workflow. And that should be the end of this presentation. Okay, so let's kind of review. we created and published a workflow to process the spreadsheet into SAP. The first step we did is we created that library. That data file library in Foundation is the home for where all of our spreadsheets are dropped by this workflow. And then we created another workflow that says anytime a spreadsheet is dropped into this library, I want you to kick it off, post it to SAP, and then when you're done, let me know if it was successful. And so that was that second step we did where we updated the SharePoint column to say, hey, I auto-posted this. Was it successful or not successful? And that wait node that we created up here is waiting for that field to get populated. Okay. Now we have one more step we have to do, and that is we got to submit the transaction script that we're going to use in this process. So let's go to step 3. So here, my name is wrong on that, but that's okay. We're going to go to our friend transaction. We've got a FB50 that we've already created. It's looping through all of our journal entries, all of our entries that we have in our debits and credits. And it's saying, okay, loop through all of these and post this journal entry for us. And so I'm just kind of showing you here what the spreadsheet, what the spreadsheet looks like, and what the script looked like. Now I'm ready to submit it to Foundation. So this is the approval process that I'm going through here. And I'm saying, yep, I've got a script. It's called FB50 AutoPost. I've got a data file called FB50 AutoPost. And I don't have any documentation. So I'll just move on to the next step. Next step. Trying to key in a description there, and it seems to not be letting me do that. Okay, and we pause, and Elisa gets to take a breath. Okay, moving on, moving on.
It really didn't want you to do that description, did it? There we go.
There we go. And then it is now submitting that, and then it says last thing, okay, this is what you're submitting. This is the data file, this is the script, and it's going to come back. Now, the first step that happens when you do a submission of a script is it assigns it back to you, the developer, and says, okay, I need you to approve this data file. So I'm waiting for my task here, and here comes my task here, review the data. And right here, I have to select a reviewer. I'm just going to select myself and keep it simple. But I also have to do a data review process. And notice there is my custom workflow called AutoPost workflow. I also have to select the server I want to use, and I'm going to do M27. And those are important pieces of this approval process. That's what's linking all of this together. The last step here is me just saying, yes, this is ready for production. And I'll give it an approval. And now it's there. Okay, so we will pause on that. Now we will come back and look at what we just did. So what we did was we submitted a transaction script to allow the auto post. And with that, there was a template that was submitted. And that template is now living up on SharePoint in our Foundation data template folder. And we'll actually have to go get that, because when we want our users to use this file, we will say, here is your template that you will use whenever you want to run a journal entry auto post through our process. Okay, so with that being said, I take a deep breath because I've been talking a lot really quick. And we're going to then now demo this. So we get to see this live. We're going to first grab that template, that FB50 template. We're going to put some current data in it. And then we're going to go through our journal entry approval process, attaching that spreadsheet to the form, submitting it, going through the approval process, and then I'll walk you through monitoring it as the magic happens. Because all of this, once we send it off for approval, there's no interaction by humans anymore. It's just the workflow's working and us monitoring that. And we can actually see it go through and process. So this is the fun part. So step one is we've got to get that template. So let's go out there and grab the template. So I have my template here, and I have actually downloaded it from our foundation site. And so I kind of saved me a little time and already have it downloaded to my hard drive. Here it is. I could change it up. I could save it to whatever I wanted. And remember, if I have bad data in the spreadsheet, it's going to fail. And that means it's going to go through the process, and then it's going to fail and come back to a human to fix the data. So I have a friend out there in the audience, I hope, who has submitted a form. His name is Tom. And he will have submitted a form that is a little ahead of ours. And so we'll get a chance to take a look at that as we go through. But we're going to save this one as mine. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a file, save as. I'm going to go ahead and put it in my data upload folders. And I'm just going to call this one. And, you know, if you decide to implement this, there are certain things that you need to be aware of. Like unique names are very important because every file really needs to have a unique name. So I'm just going to call this one Elisa. And if you have to, you can rename these automatically or whatever you might need for your process. Right now, I'm just going to say Elisa in today's date. This might be journal entry for whatever. You might have a different reason for this journal entry, but I'm just going to call mine my name. And this one, it really has good data in it. In other words, so it shouldn't fail. I've got two journal entries I'm doing to my general ledger account 4500 and 9800, and I've got it for $10, and I've got a tax code on one of them. So it should not fail. And I think Tom's went through is positive. So I might just go ahead and purposely delete my company code. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. And I'm going to put up one that's going to be a bad one. So mine should fail, and hopefully Tom's will go through good. So I'm going to go ahead and I've saved that. I'm going to give it one more save. I'm going to exit out. And let's go on to step 2. So I am now over here ready to submit this form. So I come up to my WINSHUTTLE platform for forms, and I have a form out there called Journal Entry AutoPost Workflow. This was the form workflow that we posted or published first. And so you might remember it had 3 views. The first view was the submission, the second was a team view, and the second one was a actual approval view. So we're going to go through this, and we're going to say, you know, please process and post, and we're going to attach our spreadsheet. And we called this one, oh my gosh, where is it? I put it in the wrong folder. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. Oh, fun. Lovely. Love to improvise on a video. Okay, so we're not going to do that. We're going to fix that up. We're going to go choose. It doesn't like that I did this 2 dots. Well, why in the world did I do 2 dots anyway? There we go. Oh, that's not what we wanted. Let's get that right. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So it does have particular, SharePoint has particular values that it doesn't like you to enter in a form name, so it will warn them if they use those and they'll have to remove them. So I got that all cleaned up. Now I have my form. It knows who I am. I'm going to hit a submit. And our next view is going to come up, and it's going to assign it to our journal entry team of approvers. And I happen to be on that team, so I'm going to go over here. And there is my journal entry team assignment. So I'm going to open up that form, that assignment. Number 17 we are. So It's been assigned to me, Tom, and Lance, and I'm going to pick it up and work it myself. So I'm going to say assign to self. And then from here, I'm now the journal entry approver. So now I'm wearing the hat of the approver. And so I'm going to go out here and maybe look at her spreadsheet, look at the spreadsheet, make sure it looks good, has all the right data. And, you know, I'm not paying attention. I'm on the phone. I didn't even notice she didn't put in a company code there. And I'm going to go, yep, 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 all looks good. I'm going to say looks good. And I'm going to approve it. I could also reject it. Maybe I have some workflow that sends it back to her and says, hey, you forgot the company code in the spreadsheet or whatever, and I could reject it. Or I could just get out and come back later. So I'm going to go ahead and approve it so we can get this show on the road. Okay, so it's gone. I'll go over to processes, and we can see that 17 is out there. Looks like there's also a 15 out there, and we'll hope this is my friend Tom's that's running along. And so let's go ahead, and now that we've seen this portion of it, let's go look at what's going on behind the scenes. Because really now the person is done. We have our background jobs up here, and I've got it all ready to go. I'm going to hit a refresh here just so we can see what's processing. And the first thing that's sitting out there is copy attachments. And you might remember when we went through this workflow very quickly, the first thing after approval is copy attachment. So what it's waiting to do right now is run that attachment. And if you remember, that attachment was actually going to pluck that spreadsheet off of the form, put it into this library on our foundation site, and name the form name whatever our number is, which happens to be number 17. Okay. So that's where we are right now, waiting. And we're going to wait for this to happen. And let's maybe go out here and see what else we have going on. And maybe Tom's is out there. So this is our actual library that we've got all of our, it's our AutoPost data files. And I'm just going to give it a refresh and see what's shown up since the last time I had put anything in. Okay, well, this looks like probably somebody else's file. This is Tom's file. So Tom's file came in just a little while ago, and it's sitting out there waiting to be processed. Mine will show up in this file in a second with my name, Elisa, in there, but we're still waiting for that to happen. So we'll just look at Tom's right now while we're waiting. So Tom's is here, and it plucked it off, dropped it in here, and it also started Tom's workflow. So let's refresh this screen. And there's Tom's workflow at 11:21. He kicked this off, and it's sitting there, and he's number 15. So you remember, there were 2 requests out here. 17 was mine, 15 was Tom's. And so we can see Tom sitting out there, and it's just waiting. It's in a data template status. Okay, let's go see if we can figure out where Tom's is. So we're going to go to one other place. And I don't have that open, so we'll go navigate to that. So let's go over to just foundation. Any questions yet, Beth?
None yet. This is
okay.
I'm glad you're stepping it out because it's the value I can certainly see, but it's definitely a little bit complicated to get your head around.
Yep. Okay. So what I did is I went out to these scheduled jobs, and this is what's running up on my server in Foundation. And I'm looking at all the jobs for today for created by all people, because this is really being done by a worker in my Foundation, which happens to be called WWAdmin. And so you can see here's Tom's right here. It's in the queue. And you can see I ran one earlier today that's completed. And Tom's is in the queue being waited to be processed. So really what's happened is it's not only gone from being a spreadsheet here, being a workflow that's being processed here, which if you'll remember, this is running this workflow. It's queued it up to SAP saying, okay, I need you to auto post this. And so this is running and we're waiting. And this guy is waiting right here for it to auto post. And so when a status comes back that it's been posted, he'll take a look at that, he'll update that, and then the workflow, the other workflow can move on. So let's go see if we have any updates. So we're sitting there with the status of data template. So let's give it a refresh. Still data template. Let's go see where mine is. Here was mine right here waiting for attachments. Let's see. Oh, it finished. And now it's doing what it calls a link data file form process. This is actually what's kicking off the workflow. So this is the worker that's kicking off the workflow. So as we see here, let's see if we can find my spreadsheet. Let's go do a refresh. There's my spreadsheet. It got plucked off of my workflow, off my form, dropped in here. And now a workflow is getting kicked off to start the auto post process. So I'm a few steps behind this spreadsheet. So let's see if we can see if we've started another one. Nope. So we're still waiting for that one to go. So that's this one right here that's pending. Okay. So while we're waiting.
The good news with that, Lisa, is that all this work's happening around the journal entry application, but nobody's really having to watch a screen and watch the little, spinning and all of that.
That's right. So really, like if we look back at the one that I did earlier today, so here's a slew of them that I have done. So these two are processing right now, and here's the one I did earlier it looks like yesterday afternoon I did it. It started at 4:34 and basically finished up, and we can go look at the workflow history. And we'll see that on this side, I started it, it went to the team, and I approved it. And it came back and it finished up at 9:21 this morning, okay? Now, if I actually go look at this spreadsheet, it actually posted to SAP, and we can see that right here. If we open up the spreadsheet, we can see that these items posted and created a document 29 at 9:10 this morning. So I didn't have to run this spreadsheet. I didn't have to go out to WINSHUTTLE, open the spreadsheet, hit the run button, wait for all of this to come back. It all happened automatically. Once I did my approvals and attached my spreadsheet, this happened automatically. And that's what we're waiting for with Tom's and also mine. So let's see if we have any more movement. Okay, I'm still pending. Go to background jobs. And his is now out of the queue and in progress. So it's actually being processed right now, his spreadsheet. And I do have a live demo of this. We can, or a pre-recorded demo that we can take a look at while we're watching or while we're waiting. Let me pop back over to that. We can actually look at my live demo. And so this is really me going through the entire process. So you're going to see, I'm going to actually go into my my actual journal entry AutoPost workflow, start up my form. Man, I'm slow. Grab a spreadsheet. I'm going to do a good one, looks like. Change the name.
While this demo is running, does anyone have any questions they'd like to type in?
Come on.
Not seen any yet.
Okay.
I think journal entry is such a great example of this, where you need controls over large data sets, and people like the way their spreadsheets work and things like that, but you want that automatic audit trail when everything's done and posted as well.
Agreed. So I'm going to fast forward this just a little. I'm looking at the spreadsheet here. So I'm probably just doing an approval of the spreadsheet.
Yep.
Fast forward a little bit more since we've seen all this. Let's be going through the spreadsheet, so we're going to go forward a little bit. Must be me proving it. This is 13.
We do have one question, Lisa. If you need to get additional data into the Excel file that maybe the approver puts in or somebody else, is that a manual process to update the file, or can you write to the Excel from the XLS from Composer?
Well, if you wanted the approver to enhance the data in the spreadsheet, they would have to open the spreadsheet, add the data, and then and you can put controls on that if you want them to be able to edit the spreadsheet or not. But I would say that can actually push data down. You can take data from Excel and push it up. So like if you wanted to do an approval process based on a dollar amount that was in your spreadsheet, you could expose that dollar amount because it's different maybe every time for every journal entry. You could expose that data that's in the spreadsheet, and Composer could use that to make a decision. So you can go reverse data from up into Composer, but really if you need data added to the spreadsheet, you'll need to go, and that person would actually have to go to the spreadsheet and add data to the spreadsheet. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, while this is running, I'm just going to give it a little pause. Let's go see how our live demo is going. Gotta get over to that one. Oh, poo. We'll just go here. Let's see how we're doing. Well, looks like that's completed. Looks like Tom's spreadsheet is still running. So mine has been added. So you can see 17 and 15 are now all out there waiting to be processed. We're just waiting for Tom's to finish and mine to queue up. So let's go back to the demo and see if we can see that happen in the demo. Let's go here. And let's play this. So let's take a look at what we have here. This is me looking at the spreadsheet that has come down, which is named 13. And this goes much quicker because I cut out all the pauses, which is our document 13. So you can see that. We'll fast forward just a little bit. And now we're going to check the background jobs again to see the waiting for the workflow to kick using that piece, and now it's processing. So that's starting the workflow for the spreadsheet to go to SAP. And then a new item pops up called WINSHUTTLE Auto Run. We probably have it live too on ours, but we're going to refresh this. We should see that data template come in for 13. And now we're waiting for WINSHUTTLE to process this file up into SAP. So we're sitting at this AutoPost task right here is what I'm walking you through, showing you that it's going to run that. And that's where that where the WINSHUTTLE auto run task comes from. And then once it's done, where this workflow over here is in a wait node. So it's just waiting for that task to complete. So I'm just walking you through how it works. So you can see this later and you can watch this in slower motion if this is not too slow. So now we're waiting for that to finish. So let's go see where it is. Do a refresh. Actually showing you how to get into those background jobs that are scheduled. There it is, not started. Let's fast forward just a little bit more. Now it's in the queue. We'll fast forward just a little bit. And now it's on SAP Run Complete. So the SAP is updated. Now we're just waiting for everything to wrap up. We'll move that forward just a little bit more. Now it must have completed. Let's see what we have here. Probably need to do a refresh. Yep, going to do a refresh. Still waiting for it to come in. Let me fast forward just a little bit more. Now it's complete. So now we're going to go back over, look at our scheduled jobs. Now it's completed. So we're going to go back over and take a look at our spreadsheet. That status right there should get updated from data template to either complete or error. And it got a success, and it was completed. And here it updates our status for Form 13, which is what we're showing here. And then now we're waiting for this one to come back, and you can see the status got updated there. So now it falls out of the wait loop once that AutoPost status has been updated and the spreadsheet has been posted. So this loop says, oh, no errors, so I'm going to end. If there was errors, then it would go down the route to send it to a human and allow the human. And I think Tom's was a good one and mine was an error. So we'll see if we see any actual failures coming through. This is me just again showing you the WINSHUTTLE history so you can see the task that it went through after approval, and then the spreadsheet came back, it's completed at 7/11. So the whole process took about, from the time of start to finish, a little less than 30 minutes. Granted, there was 2 steps of approval there that could take longer depending on how long it sits in people's queues, but then to go through the process, here you can go up and see the spreadsheet. Those do stay up on your foundation server. So of course, if you need them for documentation purposes or audit purposes, you can archive those off, or you can save them down, however you decide. You can even write workflow that moves them to a separate library that would be in the completed library. So if you didn't want them in the same library of your working items, you could write workflow that would actually move them to another library.
So
Okay.
the other thing I was thinking that's so cool is for the people on the phone who are using Process BI, all of these workflow nodes are kind of tracked in that BI tool. So all the data is here if you need to get specifics on the lists and, you know, that actual audit information. But just reviewing this process overall with the BI tool, I think makes it great for an application owner.
Thanks, Beth. I agree. So you can see Tom's has finished up. Mine is in the queue. So we go over here. We can update. We're still waiting for Tom's process to come back over here and let us know that it has finished. Let's see where we are. It says it's completed, so we're just waiting for the loose ends to tie up. Let's see if it's gotten here. Yep, so this is completed here. And let's go over here and see if this one gets updated. Oh, there's that one. And now if we go back over to our workflow, let's see if Tom's updates here. It did.
Tom was a great demo partner today. Thank you, Tom.
So he had no errors, so his got posted successfully. And then we're just waiting on mine. So let's go back really quick. And I'm going to go ahead and just see if there's any questions. I know you guys have asked a couple during the presentation. Mine's still running, which is the error process, which we can always go back and look at while we're waiting for it to finish up. So are there any other questions? I know this seems, it's not like it's really that complicated, but you just have to get everything set up correctly and get your environment set up correctly, and it's definitely doable. You could add a lot more than what I did. I mean, I kind of tried to keep it simple for you guys, but, you could expand it, like I said, to, for your rejection. What are you going to do if it's rejected? What are you going to do if there's errors? So that you can build that all in your process so that once that human drops off their spreadsheet, they know that it's going to go through your business controls and then circle back to them if there's a problem, or circle back to that processor if there's a problem with processing. So all of that can be designed into your workflow depending on what you need.
It seems maybe at least other thinking is how you name things. Just making sure that with all the documents you have a good convention around that.
Yep, that's definitely true. Because you get lost with all the parts and pieces. So if there's not any more questions, we can go over to events. We do have an event we are working on, and that is a complete 5-day training session in Dallas, my hometown. And I think I'm going to be doing maybe part of it, and Justin's going to be doing the other part, but we're trying to get that together for January of 2018. So if you're looking for some additional training, you're going to be in the Dallas area. Take a look at our website, and you can see when that is, or let us know you're interested. I don't know if we have any other sessions planned other than that, Beth?
Not so much. What I will say is that we do not run a WEBtips in December just because it's so hard for people to fit it in schedules with the holidays. So really, from our team to yours, happy Thanksgiving. We're thankful you're part of our community for sure. And we will be setting up another series. It starts, I believe, on January 18th. So it'll be the same time, third Thursday of the month. And there's going to be a follow-up email coming out with a link where you can provide topic ideas. So we've been at WEBtips for over 4 years now, and we want to make sure that we're covering content that's relevant. So if you're working on, whether it's a T code that's giving you a little trouble on the scripting side, or something in workflow that's a node you haven't used before and you'd love to have a session about it, let us help you solve a problem you're facing, and you can use the link and submit the idea for topics. But other than that, we've got our heads down working, and everybody's focused on scheduling their vacation and being with their families. So we're a little quiet on the events front for the rest of the year.
Right. And then also don't forget we have Solution Care, and this kind of just helps you understand what's the difference between CPS's Solution Care and your WINSHUTTLE maintenance. And it's a great way to supplement what you're getting from WINSHUTTLE when you need additional help. Maybe you're just short-staffed and you need someone to write scripts for you, or maybe you just need someone to help you, another set of eyes to help you debug your workflows. Or maybe you want to do something like this that I demoed, and you want to set up a project and you want to work with us to help you do it. So this just outlines that. So don't forget about Solution Care. And then, of course, we're always there. You can reach us at info@clearprocesssolution.com, or you can go to our website. This will be, the demo will be published on YouTube so that you can later go out there and take a look at it. I was just going to jump over real quick and see if
As my
We're still
YouTuber son says, smash that like button.
smash that like button. So mine is finishing up here. It's just still in the SAP complete, so we got still a few more minutes before it will be all the way done. And I did put in an error on this one, so it should actually go down the error path. So, stick around if you want to see this happen. I'll stay here, but that concludes our WEBtip demo for today. Thank you guys for joining us.
Great functionality, Elisa. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Looks like everybody wants to watch and see your errors.
Okay.
Is there another one out there with an error you can kind of just show what happens, or no?
Well, you know what? It probably was already processed, but
Yep.
sure, look at one. This one had an error. Oh, I canceled it though.
That's okay. Well, we'll just continue recording. It looks like most of the crew's dropping off. So we'll record and you can walk through the error node, and then that'll be out on YouTube.
Yep. Sounds good.
Thank you.
You can see it errored here.
Aha.
Yep. I'm gonna refresh here. Still waiting for that to come back. Look at the spreadsheet. Yep, fill in all fields.
And that went back to you.
And then it'll come back to me as to clean it up.
All right. Well, I think at this point, showing the error, we could end the recording, and really good example of how this works. I have a million use cases in my brain.
Okay, thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Elisa. Bye, everybody.
Uh-huh.